Big 30 was supposed to have gotten the bail, but I think they denied that, right? I don't think they're going to be letting Big 30 out for the simple fact of the situation, right? When it comes to like those violent type crimes like that, especially with the feds, I don't think they always want to give you a bail on that situation. You feel what I'm saying? Because you was out there bugging. You need to be relaxed. You don't need to be out there influencing the people as if this is the norm when you get in the situation. Yeah, I know Big 30 didn't have a record. You know, I know he didn't have a record. I'm sure he's probably been through some things and might have, you know, made it through. But you got to think about the music, the association, the people that he was affiliated with. You know, you already know when shit like this happen, the prosecutors, they listening now. Now they want to hear your music, right? You know, him and Pooh Shiesty made that song Allegations. They was talking crazy. You know, they got a couple songs that they was talking crazy. So they say that, you know, your music ain't supposed to be used against you. Yeah, we understand that. That's something they say. But they using that shit. Straight up. They using it. I mean, it's not supposed to be. You know, a lot of things ain't supposed to happen. But they do it anyway. You know, it's the law. But you got to understand, they make the law. They the ones that enforce the law. So they going to bend the rules a little bit. Straight up. They going to bend the rules a little bit. Let me see. Hold on. Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Let me see. Hold on. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Yeah. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Let's see here. Hold on. All right, let me see this here. Let's see if federal judge sees enough to move forward with the case against Pooh Shiesty. Let's see. I want to see this right here. Federal judge sees enough to move forward with the case against Pooh Shiesty. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, man. Shout out to all y'all that be rocking with the channel.
And several suspects accused of kidnapping and robbing rapper Gucci Mane and others are set to face a judge again on Monday as their high-stakes detention hearing continues. In federal court today, prosecutors say what was supposed to be a business meeting at a Dallas recording studio quickly turned into a violent, coordinated crime. 5 of the 9 people charged, Lontrell Williams Sr., Rodney Wright Jr., Darian McDaniel, Corday Johnson, and Demarion Gibson appeared in court. Investigators revealed new details about what they say happened on January 10th. Just after 1 p.m., 3 victims arrived expecting to meet with rapper Pooh Shiesty or Lontrell Williams Jr. Instead, prosecutors say it was an ambush. An FBI special agent testified that Williams Jr. brought 1 victim into a private studio room. Others followed, shut the door, and an argument over a contract quickly escalated. Williams Jr. had Rodney Wright, also known as Big 30, retrieve a bag with an AK-style pistol, then pointed it at the victim, forcing him to sign paperwork releasing him from his contract, according to the agent. Investigators say multiple suspects then pulled gun, robbing the victims of jewelry, cash, and personal items. 1 victim was choked and injured. Outside security could not get in. Prosecutors claim the exit had been barricaded by Big 30. Surveillance video captured parts of the incident. Authorities say the group later fled, some back to Memphis, others staying in Texas, with some even posting cash and stolen items on social media. A judge has now ruled there is probable cause for charges including kidnapping, robbery, and conspiracy. One of Big 30's attorneys, Murray Wells, spoke with us after the ruling.
There are certainly gaps in the evidence. The thing doesn't make sense. Sort of the way it's put together in the complaint doesn't make practical sense about how the way this may have happened. So we use this as an opportunity to sort of learn what their theory is.
And bond was granted for Williams Sr. under strict conditions, including home confinement and a $250,000 bond. As for the remaining suspects, their cases are expected to continue when court resumes Monday afternoon. Johnson's hearing was reset for Tuesday.
Okay. All right. Let me see this right here. I'm trying to see with Big 30. Let's see here. Let's see what Let's see what Seti Nash said. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe, and let's see what Seti Nash said.
30 just got a bond.
Rapper with the stage name Big 30 was granted a $100,000 bond today. He was in federal court as he faced charges for an alleged robbery and kidnapping of the rapper known as Gucci Mane. Action News 5's Imani Williams joins us now live from downtown after being inside the courtroom during the detention hearing. Imani?
Joe, it was a packed house today. I mean, there were dozens of people inside that federal courtroom in support of Rodney Wright Jr., also known, like you said, as Big 30. Now, the defendants had two people that they brought to the witness stand. Those two people were Big 30's dad and also the general manager of Endless Entertainment. I want you to take a look at your screen so you can kind of see what we saw in this complaint. So Big 30's dad and said that his son stays with him at home and he takes care of his kids. And the GM at Endless Entertainment, he said that Big 30 has some contractual agreements that he has to go through with putting out music and putting out albums. Now, the prosecution brought up his criminal history, including a gun charge in 2018, but it was wiped off of his record after diversion. Other than that, nothing really on his record but driving violations. Now, the judge said that she took criminal history, family support, and his alleged involvement in the incident all into account when going through this detention hearing today. She said the complaint does not show him having a gun or pulling a weapon out.
United States of America versus Rodney Wright Jr. Government's notice of motion and request to stay pretrial release order. The United States of America, the government hereby gives notice pursuant to 18 U.S.C. 3145 that it will move this court to revoke the order of United States Magistrate Annie T. Christoph releasing defendant Rodney Wright Jr. on pretrial conditions. The government further requests that this court extend the stay of Judge Annie T. Christoph's release order until such time as the motion can be heard and order the United States Marshal Service to transport the defendant to the Dallas Division of the Northern District of Texas forthwith. On March 30th, 2026, the defendant was charged by criminal complaint in the Northern District of Texas with possession with kidnapping in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1201A and C, docket number 1. The defendant was arrested in the Western District of Tennessee and made his initial appearance on the same day. The government moved to detain the defendant pending trial, docket number 6. A hearing on the government's motion was held before Judge Christoph on April 3rd, 2026, and continued to April 6, 2026 in cause number 226MJ 0007. At the conclusion of the hearing, Judge Christoph issued an order setting conditions of pretrial release. At the government's request, Judge Christoph stayed the issuance of pretrial release order pending the government's appeal to this court. The government respectfully requests a further stay of Judge Christoph's pretrial release order until such time as the motion to revoke the order can be heard. This request is made in the light of the seriousness of the defendant's offense conduct, his criminal history, and the potential danger that the defendant poses to the community. The government.
See, Big 30 got granted a bond, but the prosecution appealed it. Now, being as though that the prosecution appealed it, that don't mean that it's going to go through for him. You know, it's war. And looking at the circumstances, you know, the prosecutor is going to be trying to keep him in there. Just keeping it real. You know, I've been in a situation where I had a bond. When I got arrested, I had a bond. The bail's bondsman got paid. When they was about to release me, they called the judge and revoked my shit and gave me no bail. So just because one judge says that they're granting a bond, you know, it's a process. prosecution can appeal. Straight up.
It proposes to file its brief in support of the motion to revoke the pretrial release order as soon as possible, but no later than April 13, 2026. Respectfully submitted, Ryan Raybould, United States Attorney. It turns out that Big 30 actually did get Arthur Horn. Shout out to Art, man. There ain't no shade or no nothing like that. I know he think I don't like him, but it's not that, bro. We good. It's just, you know how this shit go, bro. But Art, he knew this was coming because in that interview, he says something interesting.
I spoke with his attorney, Arthur Horn, about the bond granted, and he said there's more to it.
Initially, I guess she found that there was probable cause for the case to move forward. And then today in the detention hearing, she did grant him a bond of a secure bond of $100,000. U.S. Attorney's Office in the Northern District of Dallas is going to file an appeal, and they're going to appeal the judge's decision, and we will have to have another detention hearing in Texas.
Now, the government has already, they have already documented and put in that stay. I just looked at it in my email just a few minutes ago. So the government has put in that stay to wait for an appeal from the Northern District of Texas.
But now we really get into it, bro. They admitted something real interesting. They didn't see Big 30 with anything. All they did was see him standing there like Patrick at the door. You can't go there. Don't go nowhere. Oh! I don't know if I can do a good Patrick. Bro. But nah, let's be fair, square, obvious, and honest. This case is falling apart fast. Everybody who gets a bond, they're gonna have it taken back because they weren't captured in no doggone Dallas. So what they're doing is they're saying, bring them to Dallas, so that we can have a crack at them.
I do want to say this. The case just got started, right? And we don't know that the case is falling apart. If they're granted a bond and then the prosecution appeals it, the case didn't fall apart. The case just got started. And you know, people could say they didn't see Big 30 do anything, right? But the statement was made from whoever the witness was that Big 30 was standing blocking the door. You become an accessory in a conspiracy when you're there and you assist in any way. So no matter if Big 30 had a strap or not, you standing at the door and they can identify that you blocked the door, you're liable just like everybody else that had a strap. So that there, I don't agree with. You are guilty by association. If you are there at a crime and you don't report the crime and you were with the individuals and you leave with the individuals, you can be charged the exact same way that everybody else was charged. Just how the situation happened at No Jumper and Whack hasn't been charged and he goes back to the crime scene every week. When he's suspect number 4 that he acts like he's not. You're liable just how Loose Cannon and the other individuals was there doing the same thing. So no, I do not think the case is falling apart. The case just started. And what I do see about all the people that are bloggers that are, you know, covering this shit the way that they're like covering it, they're rushing to put it out. They're keeping the people to want to pay attention to them by saying these things. Yeah, the case is falling apart. You know, this is going on. They're saying the things that are happening, but at the same time, giving you like, well, maybe it could be this. So it's like it draws you back to see what they have to say next because they put it could be this way or it could be that way. Now, I see this is the game that they're all doing right now. All of them. This is what they're doing. the manipulation. But, you know, I don't think that the feds have laid out all of their evidence. Nah, I don't think the feds laid out all their evidence. Why would they put everything on the table from the door? You know, we gonna see if these niggas, you know, they gangsters, if they gonna have preliminary hearings. Because the attorneys they got might tell them waive the preliminary hearing, which that's the worst thing you can do. Because then you get to see what evidence that they have. And that's when the agent testifies on what he knows, right? So the preliminary hearing hasn't been had yet. We got to see what's up with that, you know. Then you got the discovery, you know what I mean? So things got to happen first. Everybody's just been charged. So you can't tell me a case is falling apart and everybody has just been charged. Of course, the attorneys are going to fight back. That's their job. They're defending their clients. And for the money, right? You know what they're going to do. They're going to tell their client what they need to tell them. Because they want to get paid. And what I learned about attorneys, right, is when they're hired for a case, they always tell you that we're going to beat this. It's looking good. They don't have anything. The facts, this. They always do that. That's their goal, to keep you calm and cool. But they don't know shit until they get the discovery, right? They don't know nothing. You need that discovery to see all the evidence, to know who the victim is, who's the ones that's saying certain things, who's going to be the ones that testify. And, you know, if they get crafty, they do like with the case with Big U. They start keeping information away from the people, right? They know that it's 9 jokers on this case, right? And these jokers know people in the street and they know things. So you might got some people in the street, right, that these individuals that was involved with the situation then bragged about it to their homies. And their homies called the 1-800 number and said, yo, my man told me this, and this is what happened, right? And they want to keep that individual confidential. So they don't want to let you know that they were able to identify certain things from the individual that called the 1-800 number, the individual that wanted to drop a dime on his homies, right? So they're not going to put that in the paperwork. So they could want to bird feed them the paperwork and then put a little bit of it out at a time and say, all right, we only going to give you this. You only can see this with your attorney. The same shit they doing to Big U. So I don't think the case is falling apart and it just got started. That's what I do not think. Yeah, these guys can say this shit because, you know, they're doing the YouTube, and, you know, a lot of these guys got people that follow them. And I do understand that keeping people in the suspense about things draws people back, you know, make people want to see, well, what's really going on, you know? So this case just got started, man. Yeah, it just got started. And for the feds to bring the indictment so fast, they got something that they're not telling. They're not going to tell everybody what they got right now. That would be a fool of the government to put all the cards on the table right now. But for them to have, you know, pictures that they put out of an individual, that person that they posted the picture of, scratched the neck and the arm, that person is willing to tell everything and then told everything and identified what happened. You know, that's probably the person that said Big 30 was at the door. If you hold the door, you guilty as everybody else. It's the same way if you were a getaway driver in a bank robbery. You gonna get the same thing as the people that went in the bank. Ain't nobody trying to hear you was in the car and you didn't have a strap. You pulled off when they ran out the damn bank. Hey, listen. This case just got started and we gonna see how it play out. You know, if they revoking these boys' bail, right? They done revoked Pooh Shiesty's dad bail. They revoked Big 30's bail. So we gonna see how it go. Yeah. And I'm sure when they got the news that the judge, you know, they sitting there, the judge say, all right, we're gonna grant you bond. They like, okay, we good. That shit hit different when they say your bond revoked. You gotta go for a hearing on the appeal, and now you gotta wait to see if the appeal gonna go through, because the appeal might not go through. Shit might hit different. Now you sitting in there sick with a case. And of course, right, they're going to try their best to make sure that these guys don't get a bail, because they want to make people cooperate. They want to make people stress. You sitting in jail waiting for them court dates, it hit different. And you ain't got no bail, that shit hit different. Fighting, and the court date then stretched out here. You waiting for this here. They rescheduling this. You think you about to go home. You think you about, man, some of these jokers would be saying, hey, listen, what do I got to do to help myself? What do I got to do? What do you need to know? So, of course, they're going to try to put the pressure down. Straight up. You know, everybody ain't built to sleep in the bathroom for a long period of time with another man.